All right, we are live in Roma, Texas. You've got to look right now at the U.S.-Mexico border divided by the beautiful Rio Grande River right here in South Texas. Hello, everybody. Brian Glenn here with Alexandra Lanes as we stand here perched above this rock on the U.S. side to provide you with, I guess, an aerial look of what it looks like above the Rio Grande and give you a situation and what's going on down here in South Texas. I know this is the first time you've been to Texas, and this is also obviously the first time you've even been to the border.
First time to Texas, first time to the border. I like to start off my adventures with a bang, that's for sure. But no, this is crazy. So we're right here at a port of entry. You can probably also see, they're kind of hiding right now, but we have some scouters watching us, and that is, you know, guys that are most likely working with the cartel, keeping an eye out on what's going on this side. I said earlier that where are our scouters watching what's going on the other side? That's what we need.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. There's an island even more to the right where a lot of them will cross over later in the evening. And even as close as we are to a legal port of entry, we still have a lot of activity that goes on here. Obviously, later in the evening when it's a lot harder to see.
Yeah, we spent much of the day with some local officials here, kind of going over some of the back trails that connect the Rio Grande to kind of the inner cities here along South Texas. And it's quite a journey that these people go through, but we want to show you the reality of the situation. I know you've seen the stories of kids in cages and all of that, but there's the other side of this is where the illegal activity going on in far as narcotics. And Alexandra, they told us this is the #1 spot. What we're looking at right now, this area is the #1 spot for marijuana coming into this country, and that is a hard reminder that there are a lot of bad things flowing across our border.
Yeah, well, also we've had some people ride across us on motorcycles and bikes, basically gang members and people that are in works with the cartel, just keeping an eye on us, and it's very, very uneasy. I don't feel super safe standing in this spot. Yes. Even though we are on the U.S. side, this is not a very good spot to be.
Yeah, Gage, let's see if we can take a look at some of the terrain here. There was at one point some stairs that came down off of this Roma Bluffs observation area, and there is an official deck, and we'll get there in just a second. But you know, this is what it looks like right now, and I probably wouldn't encourage the city officials to even update any of this because you want it as difficult as possible to get up here. So in the next hour, we're going to walk around here. We're going to show you what it looks like. We were told by officials that about sundown, which here is about 7:48, is when you get a lot of the crossings, and it will be it won't be anything incognito. It will be open, out in the open with a raft coming across. We'll see some of that, and maybe we can catch that on video, and we'll walk around here to give you an idea of what this area looks like. We're also going to talk to a couple people that have lived here their entire life, and they have seen this area transformed. They've seen the town here transformed. They've also seen the people transformed. There's a lot of let's just say corrupt people that are in control here in this area. Not all, but the corruption doesn't necessarily stop at the Mexico border. It does flow into our country. I'm going to bring you in there. We talked earlier today about everything, and Sandra Witten, just glad you can join us here once again.
No, of course. To show us what's going on here. And I was just teasing our audience. And welcome everybody. We are live here in Roma, Texas, and we're going to take you on this tour. But this part right here, you told me, #1 for narcotics coming through, and there's a lot of violent gang members coming through. This isn't necessarily the family portion of it all.
Right, that's correct. And you know, I as soon as we pulled up, of course, we started instantly seeing the spotters, and your crew was telling me the same thing. Hey, we're kind of starting to see some of the things that you were talking about. As you guys can see, we've got some people staged fishing, and he's physically fishing like you see it, but in the same breath, like, you also know that they're watching. You know, you see the guys over here, you try not to point. Right over here is where we were doing an interview one time, and they started crossing right behind us. So this is a very highly active area. I don't know if you guys have gotten to get down into it some, but the further you kind of go down, you'll see, you know, trash and clothing and all sorts of things. You can see, even just right here, remnants of people who've clearly been through here.
Yeah, and there's some areas, and we'll show that up above where it looks like they have taken bushes and they've made kind of a makeshift temporary housing situation where they can hide out until it's time to exit and go into the city. So we're going to show you all that. We're going to walk and talk. Gage is behind the camera today. Welcome, everybody. Of course, this coverage is brought to you, our friends over at mypillow.com. Mike Lindell, true patriot.
I got to meet him up in Tulsa at the Faith and Wellness and Freedom Conference, and he is such a patriot. He's really fighting hard to let people know the truth about what happened with the 2020.
Right. And of course, with immigration and everything that's happening right now. So please go to his website, mypillow.com, mypillow.com, and let's fight this cancel culture that's going on right now, because that's exactly what it is. They try to cancel him, and of course patriots like yourself watching us at home have really risen up to fight that with your wallet. So go to mypillow.com, put in the promo code, by the way, RSBN. You get up to 66% off your entire order. Absolutely. Mother Day's coming up, and we also want to promote the fact that you can see us on multiple platforms here, not only YouTube, Facebook, and the typical platforms, which we now have a wonderful app. We'll get you information on how you get that app. Plus, we're on Rumble as well. Go check us out on Rumble. We'll soon be on Apple Plus TV, Roku, and some other streaming platforms as we expand our social media and our ways to get the message out there, because big tech will censor you. They will throttle down this message to get out. So we want to make sure we continue to push the other outlets that you can follow us, as you never know what can happen. But man, it's beautiful up here. I can absolutely see why they put an observation deck up here, because it is such a beautiful sight. We'll turn our attention. That is looking up to the north here. So that's looking at the northwest, obviously, where you see a little bit of the sun peeking out. Sunset here about 7:48. That's when it will get dark. We'll probably have to wrap it up around 8:15, just if you're keeping score at home. This is where we're at. Alexandria Lane is with me. We're going to walk around. We're going to show you what's going on right here on the border. We got some special guests as well. Okay, let's go ahead and walk and talk, and I'm going to make sure I can guide my camera operator here, because I don't want any missteps here on this rock, because we are probably a good 200 300 feet off the ground. So we're going to walk over here. So where should we go first? I mean, what do you want to what should we explore?
I mean, we could take them down to the observation deck, or we can even go there and show them the little burrows that we saw down there closer to the bridge. Okay.
Also, let's bring the expert in here, the local expert in here, because she knows a little bit about everything here. First, tell us first name and tell us where you're from.
Okay, I'm originally born and raised in the city of Rio Grande in the county of Star, right down here by the riverbanks. I worked and I opened several stores, and when you work in stores and you work in banking, you learn a lot of things, you meet a lot of people.
Well, I will say this, we've had about every car to come by here, they know you and you know them. It's a family deal here. All right, so let's talk about the significance of where we're at and how have you seen this area change, and of course the bridge and the city that's just right across the river.
Okay, my experience here has been since 1977. I opened the Citizen State Bank, and of course we had the international commerce, we had the banking, and we had a lot of new accounts, mostly from Mexico. And this is what built. International commerce is very important to our border, and that's why we're trying to protect it so that we can have a functioning society. And of course, security comes first. Mm-hmm. What we're seeing across is the city of Ciudad Miguel Alemán, Tamaulipas. Okay? Tamaulipas. What I'm concerned about are all those antennas to the south.
Okay, let's take a look at that gate. See if we can get a throw of that. There's some antennas straight ahead. Now, what's the significance with those antennas?
Those antennas are monitoring our border.
Okay.
And it's kind of scary, because we have radio stations that have their antennas in Mexico. And to me, that's a flag right there.
Okay, so do you think they know that someone right now is...
They're monitoring us. We're being seen. Now, look at that 3-story building up there. That didn't exist. That's new.
The white one?
The white one, over there. Look at the ones that are going up.
Okay.
Look at how...
Who's building those houses, do you think?
No, I haven't been across the border since 2005. The reason being was that the Cartel took over the city of Camargo, Tamaulipas, which is right across Rio Grande City. They burned the hospitals, they burned the stores, and it was just a horrible experience. We had a baseball game going on, we had to cancel it. And we were there this morning. And so
And as we said earlier, there's a man over there fishing. We had some goats and some small kids that were playing along the river's edge here. So this seems like a typical neighborhood, right? In Mexico, but mixed in.
A little bit of everything mixed in with culture and sporting and fishing and raising cattle, and they use any kind of excuse to watch what's going on over here. And if you've noticed, it's not only them. I mean, we attract our local sheriff's department, we attract the police.
So just us being here right now is well, we got the sheriff's department for the 4th time is driven by, which God bless them. I kind of want them around here, but then again, at the same token, you don't really know.
Okay, and as far as the people riding bicycles, I mean, those are all flags.
Flags for you, identify them as flags.
To me, I identify them as flags because, yes, they have their freedom to roam wherever they please, but what is their interest? I mean, that guy's gone around about 3 times.
Yeah.
So,
So when we see we might from time to time see some individuals riding their bikes or walking, and they will, they'll
walking. You have the good families exercising, but we're all at risk right now.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what's scary.
That's a little scary. Okay, let's talk about this island. Gage, just see if we can show this island that's over here. Watch your step there. Just off to our right, there is a fairly large island that's in the middle of the river here. Let's talk about how they use that to come across.
They use that, they swim across. Sometimes they can walk across because the water is so low, and they hide and they just wait for an opportunity to swim over or walk over, and they enter our country.
Now, right now, the water level, in your opinion, is it fairly low right now?
I think it's fairly low. Look at the drop of the measurement right there on the bridge.
Yeah, it's fairly low.
So yeah, to me it's low.
Okay, let's go up to the official observation deck here at Roma Bluffs and give you a different bird's eye view. It's just up here, and I know that at this one point this city was a very beautiful Spanish inspired border town that had the banks, the shops, the grocery stores, the restaurants, and it seems like that's not necessarily the case now.
Yeah, it attracted a lot of movie stars to come down and make films down here. So we have a little bit of Hollywood.
Okay, we're going to follow Gage. Why don't you go ahead and walk straight, Gage, and I'll follow you behind you. And you'll take a look at some of the architecture here. And we were talking earlier that this area is just, we could see why they would shoot some type of picture here because of the handmade bricks. Actually, Gage, go to the right here. You were telling me here those are handmade bricks, right?
Those are stones. Yeah.
So that's how. I mean, that's the architecture in this part of the country. It's very primitive, but that's just how they built things.
That's how this community got started back in the 1700s.
Yep, 1700s. All right, let's go ahead and walk towards the observation deck. If you're welcome, just now joining us, we are live in Roma, just north of Mission McAllen area along the Rio Grande River, and we are showing you exactly what the river looks like here. We've heard the stories in McAllen. We've heard the kids in the cages and all of that. By the way, we have a press conference tomorrow with Attorney General Ken Paxton there in McAllen. We'll bring that to you at 11:30 local time here in Texas. But we thought we'd go up the river some, where it's a different story. And this area is really known for a lot of open crosses during the day and particularly at night.
Yes, absolutely. And, we're already starting to see where the scouts are kind of popping up. We're seeing where people are coming by a little bit more frequently. You're going to see our law enforcement, like you said, thank God they're here. But at the same time, it's a shame that they have to circle around so frequently in this area.
Do you think they're doing that, but they know that we could be potentially at risk right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And they're trying to help Border Patrol as much as they can. Their hands are legally tied on a lot of stuff because it's federal crimes that are happening every time somebody crosses the border illegally. Mm-hmm. However, they also know that U.S. citizens are right here, and they've got to try and keep us safe also. So if they start trying to start something with us, that's what our law enforcement's here to do, is protect us.
Yeah. Okay, we've walked up to this observation deck. As you can see, it's a beautiful sight here. I know we were just taking in the sunset that's scheduled here at about 7:48. Beautiful view, and you got a nice, I guess, a better view of what it looks like across the river into this small little town here. And of course, back what you're looking at, that is the International Bridge. You can see the traffic coming to your left of the screen. That is the traffic leaving Mexico, and I don't see a whole lot of traffic going into Mexico. And I was talking to you earlier about going into Mexico, and you really advise against doing that.
Oh, yes, I do. I don't recommend any travel in Mexico right now.
Yeah. Nor does the State's Department.
Yeah. Well, we just saw let's talk about the press release that came out today. We were having lunch after a shoot, which you'll see tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Central. We're going to push out a segment we recorded earlier today, but you got a notification on your phone from the state of Texas, from the officials that said we're under like an heightened alert as far as danger, increased danger?
Yes, actually it was from the Department of Homeland Security. They put it out. The local Border Patrol Union in Laredo sector is the one that actually issued it. And it's saying exactly that. You know, our numbers are up over 150% this month. Violent criminals are what is coming through our district. And this is really kind of where the violent criminals start, is right here in the Rio Grande, the Roma area, literally pushing all the way up towards Webb County, Laredo. This is the criminal hub. This is where they just are pushing it straight through to get it out as fast as they can, whether it's drugs or whether it's human trafficking. These are not the families.
And we've heard this story, and you'll hear that tomorrow, about a 7-year-old girl. I don't want to rehash that now, but go watch tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We'll recap that. There's a lot of violent things happening to our women, small child women, young boys. Yeah. Like, okay, what is that? What am I hearing right now?
That's an announcement, probably a movie, probably the candidates are running for office.
Okay.
I will note that we usually hear it every single time about this time of night. Of course, the dogs will start. There sometimes might be church bells involved. It could be prayers also, but it's awfully coincidental that it's, you know, we know what's also on the other side. There are camps of people that are ready to just start crossing over when they need to. So it
could be a sign.
Their announcement, like they're getting ready to have the groups come across tonight, like preparing them, or this is just kind of the announcement of like gathering them and making sure that everyone's ready to come across.
It's a very real possibility. I mean, we can't really hear it, but so well to really make out what they're saying. Sometimes it's in English, sometimes it's in Spanish. Yeah. You know, we have multiple reasons for why it could be either or. When we hear it in English, we can't help but wonder, are they trying to speak so that the people who they're trafficking have no idea what it is that's being said? You know, because most of your coyotes and things like that, they are bilingual because they do have plenty of run-ins with the locals.
Well, I'm looking at a guy underneath that tree over there. It looks like he's blowing up some type of a raft, or it looks like a paddle board, or it's got something. I don't know. It could be just a blanket from this perspective, but it's definitely something. I mean, when you're up here, guys, my head's on a swivel right now.
It's a very weird feeling. Just like a very uneasy feeling, like we're about to see something go down. I don't know. It's weird. It's just very uneasy feeling with the announcements, the noise that's going on over there, with the scouters that are watching us, possibly blowing up rafts. It's all very surreal.
It is very surreal. Glad you're joining us. We are live here in Roma, just north of the Mission McAllen area. We are here covering the border here for a couple of days. Tomorrow at 11:30, Attorney General Ken Paxton will have a press conference with local sheriffs, which oddly enough, we saw them at our hotel.
Yes, they're awesome. Shout out to the sheriffs, to our police, to the men and women that they're out protecting us. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
I mean, think what they have to do every day. I mean, you've got family members that's in that industry, and I know that's a very demanding job right now.
It's incredibly demanding. It's very thankless, and as the family members of law enforcement, we know to an extent what they deal with every day. We know that when they come home and they hang up their jacket, take the badge off, the job doesn't necessarily leave. Yeah. And I was privileged several years ago to kind of do what they called a Citizens Academy. So I kind of got a little bit deeper look than most people do, and I was blown away. I actually came home and looked my husband in the face and said, "I'm so sorry. I had no idea what you actually go through every single day to protect our country, and what you do to protect even people who are coming into our country illegally."
Yeah, I'm gonna check the time here because I'm gonna see if we can walk down a little bit further to the water. It's 7:23. We had this scheduled to go about 8:15, so time-wise, we're working okay right now. I tell you what, let's go walk where we were earlier, and we saw the little self-made temporary grass huts, perhaps just right there. We can go walk through there and show that, and then perhaps I'd like to walk down to a little bit of the water's edge, go down below. It is really tricky getting down this hill here, so we may not try to do that. I don't want anybody turning an ankle or getting hurt for that, but
have some sloped concrete stairs on the other side.
Yeah, I saw that, and it looks like they've kind of been eroded, and it might be really difficult to take. But we're going to try it because you might see me fall down and go internet sensation. I have always wanted 1 million TikTok views, and that might be it actually. So let's just be honest. Yeah, I might be in luck. Okay, so we're here. We're glad you're joining us. Like I said, this is the reality of things, and I know there's been a lot of attention. And Alexandra, I want to bring you over here for a second because you said this earlier. You're just amazed that you feel like, as a political commentator, you're here at the border, but then there's other politicians, even our nation's leaders, have not done what we're doing right now. And you did this on your own. Of course, teaming up with us is great, but you kept saying, I'm a little shocked that I'm here and no one else is.
Well, absolutely, because I am technically a nobody. You know what I mean? I don't. This isn't my job to take care of what's going on at the border, but this is something that I care about and something that I'm passionate about. And our own vice president, which is her job to control what's going down at the border, doesn't want to play political games. Yet this is her job, and it's just quite pathetic that regular day people are willing to come down here and see for themselves what we're dealing with and the humanitarian crisis that's going on, yet our own elected officials like Kamala Harris cannot be bothered to come down here for at least a day.
Yeah. This is day 34 that she's been in charge and has not had a press conference. Let's stop here for a second. That sign right there says the Great Texas Coastal Birding Trail. You told me at lunch this place is known as some of the best bird watching in the country.
It is. And, sadly, we do have a lot of, winter Texans that come down here, retirees. They fall in love with the area. It's a great area. The local people are wonderful. And it's a shame that so many of them are getting more afraid to come down and really invest in this area like they've always loved to do because of the activity of the cartels. They just never know, kind of being out looking at birds and stuff. And I've heard stories from them where, we've been out here and, we just kind of back away a little because we don't want to have any issues, and that's sadly the border reality. That's what life on the Rio Grande is really like. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that people want the most is safety and security in their lives. And if you don't have it down here, and oddly enough, that's why people leave Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico. They come here to the U.S. seeking that safety from crime and law and order. But yet it seems like there's politicians in this country that want to undo the law and order, the very thing that people come over here to seek. So it's really a twisted sense of reality. Okay, we're going to keep walking. We stumbled upon these earlier, and I thought to myself, wow, these really kind of look like they've been manufactured. This is not something that the wind created by blowing any kind of dune. This looks like something that someone made. And then I saw another one that had kind of a makeshift door on it, and then it became apparent what these things are likely used for shelter, to hide out. And to be honest with you, we kicked one of them to see what was under it, but the other ones we didn't, so I'm not about to do that. I'm not about to step into something I'm not really ready to handle. But take a look at this, guys. These are grass huts. They've got water bottles out front. You've got food out front, food wrappers out front, rather. So is this a place where people can go and hide out and wait until the time is right for them to make a run for it? And I don't know, guys, is this too much of a stretch of my imagination to think this?
It looks like someone at least took their hat off before they went inside the house. So, not to sound funny, but this is exactly what this is. This is where we talked about it earlier today. They're using our natural resources against us because we're not taking care of our natural resources. So if we take care of the problem on the landscape and we take care of the problem of the cartel, this would be a beautiful park for us to be able to come and enjoy, go fishing, maybe swim in the river. Yeah,
let's go take a look at this other one down here that looks like it really had some type of roof on it. I got to be honest, it's a little eerie up here. It's a little sketchy.
It seems like it would be really easy for them to, once they get across and then they come here, maybe hide out in these little burrows for a little while and then just keep trucking. It seems like it would be pretty easy because there's no one over here monitoring. The only people that are watching this area are the scouters on the other side, on the Mexico side. But there's no one over here besides the occasional sheriff driving by, which is mainly just driving by because we're over here and bringing some commotion to the area. but there's no one actually really, watching and monitoring this area right here. So for me, I feel like it would be kind of easy for them once they get past the hard part of crossing the Rio Grande to just keep trucking that way, or whichever way,
Yeah, whatever which way the wind blows at this point, which, by the way, it's a very windy day today, and I don't know if that's going to be a deterrent from people to cross the river, because it is blowing fairly hard, and tomorrow will be even gustier, but who knows? I mean, we had some locals walk by earlier, and they said, oh no, you will see rafts float across here tonight. And not that I want it to happen, we don't want to stop integration at all, but if we see that, we want to make sure we capture it and show people what it looks like.
Right. No, absolutely. And earlier we were kind of assuming that they might be blowing up a raft, and I think it's fairly clear now that that's exactly what it was. I mean, he could be ready to take a nap, but I don't think that that's it. I don't think that that's it.
A sleeping bag might be better if you wanted to take a nap, not a raft.
Can I suggest a sleeping bag for that nap? Is that what it looks like, Gage? Because you got a good throw on it. Is that what it looks like from here? It does look like some type of thing that's inflated, though. It actually looks like a boogie board next to the left of it, huh?
Hard to tell. Yeah.
All right, well, I've got the microphone in Gage's face right now as he tries to push in on that. Let's walk a little further. I have not walked down this trail any further than this. Let's go see if we can see anything else on the other side of this, and then we will make our way back to the bluff to kind of get a larger overview of this area. And then I'd like to, it looks like we have a boat. It's a Border Patrol. We're just going to wave to him. How you doing? And he waved back. Thank you very much. Yeah, I can go for a nice boat ride right now. How often do you see those guys cruise? I mean, obviously this is the first time. We've been here for about an hour total. That's the first time we've seen them, but is it pretty often?
It is usually fairly often. Just kind of depends on what their intel is typically showing. Of course, right now, most of our agents are sadly kind of, to use their own words, babysitting and processing. Right. So they are mostly indoors, so it's a relief to actually see our agents being able to do their job by patrolling. So God love the boat patrol, because they really kind of help deter and keep a good eye on where large crossings might be coming in at.
Well, we see a lot of hats on the ground, clothing. I've seen some masks. I mean, this is definitely right now an area where you can see people.
This would be really easy for people to hide.
Yeah.
It's very
well. Like you said before, there's a darker hangout down there. Like you said before, there's probably eyeballs on us now, without a doubt. I mean, it's just the nature of what's going on right now. Hey, if you're just now joining us, we are live along the Rio Grande River here in Roma, Texas, just on the other side of Mexico. That is an international bridge that goes across. That's the city of Mexico that you're looking at, that direction. That's where we're at. We're down here to show you what's going on here up the river from a lot of the attention that's been, given to McAllen area. There's nothing wrong with what's going on down there, but we've been talking about this is where the majority of the marijuana flowing into this country is coming through right here.
Yeah, the marijuana, the hard narcotics, the things that you don't want to find in your neighborhoods, that sadly it's all floating literally through our district to a neighborhood near you. Sadly, the MS-13, we hear about that cartel. It's they've got kids, literal kids that are recruiting for MS-13 inside of the facilities like in Donna and at Carrizo Springs and things along those lines. But for the ones that aren't recruiting, they haven't quite gotten to their level. They're over here, running through, or maybe they've gotten through so many times now they can go and literally teach their recruits how to do things so that as soon as they get sprung from these facilities, they can put them straight to work.
Yeah. Just a harsh reality of what's going on here in the border, and I'm glad that Alexandra brought up the fact that I don't see any Democratic candidate. I don't see a Democratic leader, a House member, a Senate advisor. Let's watch out these fire ants here. Like no one's come here. It's been Republicans. It's been conservatives. It's been people that's been fighting for just immigration reform. It's been fighting for secure borders. And President Trump told them that this would happen if you rolled back the policies set in place. If you didn't finish the wall, you would see that. If you rolled back the catch and release and all of the policies that we have, this is what would happen. That's exactly what has happened. But yet they're not taking responsibility for any of that.
No, they're not. And the lifelong Democrats that are down here on the border are throwing their hands up going,
even the Democrats
don't
are
even know what's happening right now. They're acting like victims when they've created the crisis.
Yeah.
You know, silence is compliance, and any Democrat that has been down here for 30, 40 years and have allowed these policies to happen and have sat by idly until the explosion of people happened and are now saying, oh, you know what, Mr. Biden, maybe you should pay attention about what's going on the border. You know, I'm sorry, but that's like catching a mouse and then not knowing what to do with it.
Yeah, and I will say this. Some people told me earlier, don't think that everyone on the U.S. side, as far as your law enforcement, are on the same page as us. The corruption does not stay in Mexico. It stays over here. With that said, we love law enforcement.
Absolutely.
But there are corrupt people. There's corrupt business owners. There's corrupt city officials. There are corrupt law enforcement officials. And please don't take this the wrong way. We love our law enforcement agencies. We love our Border Patrol agencies. We pray for their safety and their family every single day. But the reality is, it's just the way it is. You go to New York, it's the same thing. The crime, the corruption infiltrates all levels of government and all levels of our society.
Yes, and you know, that's the sad reality. And you know, one of the things that we see in federal law enforcement is, you know, it's something that our agents have to get really trained heavily on. You know, be careful, because they know how to trick you.
Yeah.
They know how to get you into their pocket way faster, and it's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope. Okay, let's walk back this way. Let's get back on that observation gauge, just so you have an idea of where we're walking to. This is kind of where we started this thing at. It gives you a great vantage point of what's going on right now, and we've been told by locals that, you know, this is a spot. This is where people will come across and openly come across. It's almost like they're not really concerned about getting caught at this point. And we just saw a boat go by, but that doesn't matter to some of these people. It's just all about getting over here, and of course with the kids, to seek asylum with your kids. But
and they'll use the kids to also try and sneak through the system. Oh, look, I'm a family unit, so they won't detain me as long. So what we'll see is recycled children, and that's where a child has come through to a point that they actually know some of the agents by name, because, you know, especially little toddlers, for example. Like, you know how quickly a toddler's like, hey, you were nice to me one time, like I'll remember you forever. So that's what they'll use. They'll use these little ones who can't necessarily speak. They certainly don't speak English, but of course our agents are bilingual, and they'll just use them to recycle them to be able to get adults through.
It's just a sad situation. All right, there's the river. There it is. Hey, if you're watching this broadcast, do us a favor right now. We have been kind of throttled down by big tech, and we appreciate it if you would share this broadcast, like it, tag a friend that might want to see this content, because that is one of the number one ways we can really get more eyeballs on all of this, is if we do that. So please do that for us right now. It means a lot to everyone here at Right Side, and we, as we continue to bring this content post-election, of all things, America first, and immigration and the border is America first. I mean, that's what it's all about, putting the priorities of this country first and really halting any kind of illegal activity coming over the border. So do us a favor, like it, share it, get some eyeballs on this, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you guys coming down here, because, you know, like we said earlier, so often we're talking about Donna and we're talking about Carrizo Springs, and the children are one of the reasons that we all fight. They really are. I can, you know, just from getting to know you some today, like the baby stories are the ones that really tug at our heartstrings. But if we get so distracted and clouded down by that, we miss the children that are being sold into slavery this way also. We miss the men who are coming through to do nothing but cause, sadly, death and destruction in some of your communities back home. I mean, I did an interview recently, and they were talking about MS-13 and how in Maryland, I believe it was, they found a woman who was chopped up into like 101 pieces. And so, you know, sadly, that's what comes through when they can't get caught. It's not the people that are turning themselves in that are the problems. It's the ones that don't want to be caught, the ones that are going to the stash houses, the ones that are trying to evade law enforcement. Those are the ones that we have to be the most worried about.
And if you follow us on, make sure you follow our Twitter page and our Instagram page, because we've been posting up some content. We're going to continue to push up some pictures and images that you've provided us from what you found in your working day. So you can follow me as well at Brian Glenn TV across all social media. Alexandra, let's go over here and let's get your handles, because you're going to be posting up some content as well throughout this journey as we kind of go into a press conference tomorrow.
Yeah, so you can find me at Living Life Like Alex on Instagram and YouTube, and at Real Alex Lanes. Lanes is spelled Lains on Facebook.
Yeah, so great pages there that we will continue to post up content. I just keep looking around, and maybe Gage will walk to really the lookout point. I keep looking around because I feel like at any moment one of these rafts could just splash out in the water and float across, and I definitely want to make sure that we are able to bring that to you on this very windy Tuesday evening here in Texas. It's been a very windy day, like I said. It's a very warm day. We left Southern California at a rally there for Tin Horn Flat Saloon. It was kind of chilly, low 60s, got that ocean breeze going, but that's not the case here in South Texas. And it's very windy, very humid, and very typical of South Texas. I would imagine you've lived here quite a long time, and so this is
We like it hot in Texas.
Yeah, we do like it hot in Texas. So there's a look up towards the north. You're seeing the island just the top of your screen. That is where they travel from the left of your screen to that island, go across that island, and then just really have a slim portion of water to go across at that point. I guess it kind of connects. And perhaps that's where a lot of this takes place.
Well, and what they'll do too is, especially like throughout the day, that island's fairly large. There's plenty of places to kind of hang out. So some days they'll kind of trickle themselves across. Maybe in the morning they'll rest for the day, and then once it gets dark, then they'll, like you said, just take that short little jaunt over here to the U.S. side and keep running, or unless they're the ones they throw out to kind of get the law enforcement to catch them first.
Yeah, and you know what we talked about earlier. We understand, Alex, we understand these families that want a better life for their kids. We get it. We all do. I got 3 kids. I want them to have a better life than I had, and I had a pretty good life. It's just natural to think that. But I can't imagine what these kids go through. I can't imagine what the parents, how can they release these kids to complete strangers, for them to escort them through some very, dangerous areas and then just let them go?
Well, it's the thing, because over there, with these circumstances that they're in, with wanting to escape a corrupt government and rough conditions, by putting these children in this position to cross a river and to basically cross into another country illegally, they are putting them in even more danger than what they're facing in their own country. And that's what people and Brian just stepped on a bunch of ants, and now he's freaking out.
Get them off me. Large ants here. No, I just can't imagine doing that and having these young kids just go with complete strangers.
Another thing too that I want to point out is everyone likes to talk about how we're evil, or Trump was evil, or whoever the president is evil for separating these kids and separating their families. But what they don't understand is most of the time they're actually separating them from their captors. They're separating them from the smugglers. They're not actually separating them from their real life parents. And that's a perspective that also needs to be shown, because right now they're painting Border Patrol like they're horrible people. They painted President Trump like he was a horrible person for separating these families, but instead he was actually doing a service to these children by taking them away from their captors and their smugglers and putting them in better hands.
Yeah. Well, this is a story that I want more and more media to tell. I mean, I know we've seen a lot here on the border. We've had Cruz and Cornyn and some other politicians, 13 senators come down here. We've had Jim Jordan from Ohio come down with a group of sheriffs. And then, of course, tomorrow we have Attorney General Ken Paxton with a group of sheriffs that we met earlier today. So I think the more people that come down here and tell these stories, maybe that will convince the people who watch mainstream media that there is a crisis down here. That is not just a bunch of crazy conservatives down here making up some kind of story about kids in cages for political reasons. There is a serious issue going on down here. It's a humanitarian issue. It's also a national security threat. Yes. You know, we talked earlier about, you know, people from the Middle East. There's some people that known terrorists that have been caught at certain border crossings that are on the no-fly list. They're on the terrorist watch list. They come across these borders, and you think they're coming here for a hot meal and a handshake? Yeah. No.
You know, in Webb County on our other side, Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, we have they have known terrorist training camps that are over there. Yeah. So I mean, they're totally not. They're, like you said, they're not here for a picnic. They're here to destroy America. That's literally in their creed. So unfortunately, when we start talking about that, it does upset them. And you know, they call their sympathizers and their big spenders that are controlling the narrative to make us look like we're crazy. And we kind of talked about it at lunch and earlier throughout the day. You know, like you said, it's one thing to watch it on TV, but when you realize what's actually happening, when you actually physically go to those places, it's a completely different situation. It's a different narrative, because now you have that feeling that you didn't have by watching it. You're moved by about a 45-second blip on your television, but then to actually walk where they're walking and you know, see the remnants in person, it changes you.
I want to say, I know how we've been, like, you know, busting Kamala for not coming down here and that she's neglecting the border crisis, but at this point I actually rethought it, and I don't think she's neglecting. I actually think she's doing a great job at the border, because she wants open borders. She wants these people to come in. This is exactly what she wants. And the more I think about it, it actually makes sense that she doesn't want to play political games. She doesn't want to come down here and focus on what's actually going on, because she wants open borders. And the immigration, they make a lot of money. It's about $15 to $25 billion a year. And they get angry when it's people like us coming down here and wanting to shed more light on the issue, because you know, we are stopping their jobs, we are stopping their business, the influx of money that they make smuggling people across the border.
Yeah. Let's show the border real quick, Gage. That is the line of cars leaving Mexico to enter the U.S. And I want to get a perspective. How many cars do you think a day come through here? And are these U.S. citizens coming back into the U.S. for whatever reason, or are these Mexican citizens from Mexico coming? I mean,
It'll be a little of both. Of course, since COVID-19, they kind of shut down the bridges to travel. So now it's only for business and things like that. You can fly into the United States from Mexico for travel, but you can't come across the bridges for travel.
We walk across right now.
You know, I don't have the answer to that. On a typical day, you could. Yeah. But post COVID-19, I mean,
I'm not sure if I'd want to, but
you don't advise it, nor does the State's Department right now.
Yeah.
But
no, there's no guarantee that you're going to be allowed back.
Yeah, that is true.
And you know, on a normal circumstances moment, when the influx isn't super high like it is right now, or COVID-19 isn't an issue, usually you can go into Mexico, you know, fairly quickly. But coming back, it's usually about 1 to 2 hours, regardless of if you're on foot or traveling by vehicle.
Oh, because of the check. And I would love to know what they check. And I know there's some border coming down from San Antonio. There is one station going northbound on 37 or 35 that they do check to make sure who you are and who you're with or where you came from. So I do see that there. I'd be curious to see what kind of questions they ask the travelers coming from Mexico into the U.S.
I believe that there's a Border Patrol checkpoint on all of the roads going north.
Yeah. I do want to point out earlier, we saw a lot of air activity here, a lot of helicopter monitoring up and down the river. I have not seen any tonight. I don't know if they just don't fly this time of day.
Well, and it's also windy, so it always depends on conditions for helicopters and things like that. In the evenings when things are very active, you'll usually hear them unless the wind is just too, you know, helicopters fly by their own set of rules due to the way they operate.
And for safety protocol. Right. But we did, the last time we came out here, there was a lot of air traffic up and down here. As you can see, there is a road. It looks like a little path just below us.
And you'll see Border Patrol drive on this path also.
So took my next question.
Yep. Yeah. So they are, you know, and sometimes you'll see National Guard down here also kind of patrolling. National Guard can't actually apprehend anybody, but they can at least let Border Patrol know and kind of put a presence
that's
up.
Interesting.
So they saw a group basically come through. They just have to stand there and watch it happen?
They kind of do, right? Off the record,
Off the record.
they're not allowed to pursue. I mean, just like when we were in Philadelphia, and we had these groups of people on these dirt bikes and ATVs going up and down the street, reversing traffic flow, going on the mediums. I asked the police officer there, "Why don't you stop them?" He goes, "We can't. We're not allowed to chase people like that for legal aspects. If they get injured while you do that, then all of a sudden they open up liability for
lawsuit and all that kind of stuff.
We can't. We protect the criminals and people breaking the law in this country. We protect them, but we completely violate the rights of law-abiding citizens. And I would be real curious to see what the rate is for personal carry here in this area in the state of Texas for firearms. Do you have any stats on that?
I don't. I know that it has increased since all this, the COVID-19. South Texas, especially in our district, all of our gun owners and smiths, the gun stores, FFA licensed dealers and things like that, they've all said the same thing. Our numbers have been through the roof.
Yeah, I can imagine that for personal protection, because you got a lot of criminals that cannot be pursued, and so they just go and they disappear into society. I don't know about you. I was nervous coming out here, and I don't necessarily get nervous a lot for shoots at all. But today, I had a little pit in my stomach knowing that where I was going, not knowing that the eyeballs would be on us, and that it wasn't all about kids crossing the border. It was much about narcotics. And when you look at who's behind narcotics, it's not very friendly people. It's gang, it's drug dealers. So I was a little pit in my stomach coming out here. I'm still a little.
It's mainly just the unknown.
Yeah.
It's the unknown. It's almost like we feel like we know that we're being watched right now, but we can't see anything, and we don't know who's watching us. I mean, we have an idea, but we don't actually know, and that's what makes this so eerie, is that we know that we have eyes on us, but at the same time, we just don't know the situation.
Now, when we go to block that way, we can walk down to the river. Is that a short walk on the street?
No, it's actually right over here, like right there where that gate comes down.
Okay, but is there another way to go outside this? I think she was saying earlier there was, but I didn't want to take us on this long journey if we can't get there, because we are going to run out of daytime here in about 20 minutes. I can see the sun, boom, right there, straight ahead, 7:50 Central Time. All right, so maybe we just stay up here, because I don't want to get us too far off the beaten path in case we miss something, because that's why we're here, to try to catch all of this. Programming note, lots going on here at the network. We appreciate your loyalty. We appreciate your donations, and we are, viewer funded. We got partners like Mike Lindell over at MyPillow and 9 Line Apparel. If you want some military backed veteran backed apparel to wear, t-shirts, things like that, you can go to 9lineapparel.com as well and get that, which by the way, you put in RSBN at checkout, you will get a substantial discount as well. So please go to that website, and please go to mypillow.com and put in the RSBN as your promo code and get up to 66% off. But what I'm saying is, we are viewer supported. RSBnetwork.com, RSBnetwork.com/donate. Whatever you can donate to help us continue to show these stories, because I don't know about you. This is the third time I've been down here. I've yet to see a CNN reporter. I've yet to see a MSNBC reporter, or MSC Hee-Haw, as I like to call it, as the great Larry Elder calls it. I've yet to see any of those guys come here and do what we're doing and walk along the river and get a vantage point and show you just how narrow this is. This is a pitching wedge across the Rio Grande River, for crying out loud. So help us continue to fight tech censorship and get the news out on immigration, on the election. We got candidates coming up in the 2022 election. So please go to our website, rsbnetwork.com/donate, and give what you can. And trust me, and you've been in politics, donations of $5 to $10 go a long way when it speaks of volume. It all adds up.
Absolutely. I mean, I tell my viewers all the time, and my supporters, don't think that $5 doesn't go a long way. That's a sign. It's gas for the vehicle.
Yes, it is.
Gas is slowly creeping to $5 a gallon. Thank you, Biden. So these are things that really go a long way. They absolutely do. And if anyone wants to help us, we're SandraForTexas.com.
Yeah, SandraForTexas.com. SandraForTexas.com. Go there and check out what she's all about. And you know what? She's one of us, patriots. She's one of us. She is not a part of the Rhino or the DC swamp at all. I've had a chance to talk to you. I know your family. I know your history. I know why you got into politics. guys. And I have no agenda here. This is not a paid ad for you at all, anything like that. I'm just being open and very candid with you. When you find people like yourself that want to put America first, then you know what, dadgummit, as a network, we want to shine a spotlight on you as well.
I appreciate that, because we're not out here to try and get the big dollars by any stretch of the imagination, or to quote unquote make a name for ourselves. This is our everyday life, and we see the holes. We know how to fix them, and it's time to stop making politics about Hollywood and start making politics about America. And I want you to take a quick look over to over there, because we're starting to see numbers kind of pick up over there.
Okay, we got a few more activities. Some actually on the cross. If you look on the other side of the bridge, guys, check that way and that way. On both sides, a little bit more activity on the water. They know exactly what time the sun goes down here, and we're going to try to stay on the air, guys. Back in the studio, just heads up, I'm going to try to go as long as we can until we just don't have any more daylight to show you, because we are about 125 feet off the ground here, and there's no street lights where we're at all. So I'm looking around. No, at all. It'll get very dark here soon, which is concerning. We'll keep an eye on that group over there, the two groups over there. Also, real quickly, last night, Sunday was the Oscars, the Academy Awards, and what, Alex, they had record low viewership. And is that any surprise by any of us standing right here that literally no one watched the Oscars?
No one cares about them. They are so out of touch with reality. They're in their safe spaces in their multi-million-dollar mansions, preaching about everything under the sun that they are not actually affected by. They are not everyday regular people. They don't see stuff like this. They don't have to work super hard as far as what we do. And
we actually have somebody walking down there real quick, Gage. See if you can, right past that green tree going north southbound. It looks like...
That looks like law enforcement.
Okay, so we have some law enforcement.
Yeah, he could be National Guard, or you could actually be one of our special forces with CBP.
Okay, just want to point that out.
they're getting ready.
I did want to interrupt you. Well, I didn't want to interrupt you, but yeah, so go back to Hollywood. They're so disconnected.
This is more important, obviously. So I'm not a celebrity. I don't really care, It's just, it's for them. It's all about celebrity status, and the world revolves around them. But the reality is no one actually cares about them except for their own little circle of friends and their multi-million-dollar mansions that they got to spend quarantine in, while everyone else is suffering with depression and anxiety.
Yeah. They get to live the good life.
Yeah, and it's rules for thee, not for me, because they didn't even wear masks.
Yeah, yeah. The award shows were quite something else when everybody's sitting around enjoying themselves. All right, so if you're just now joining us, welcome. We are live here in Roma, Texas. It's 7:55 here local time in Texas. We are just on the north of McAllen area, where we've been kind of stationed the last couple of days. Tomorrow, 11:30, press conference with Attorney General Ken Paxton. Will be there along with some local sheriffs to share their thoughts on what's going on here along the Rio Grande River and along the South Texas border here, because this has been a hotbed. He's walking back this way. This has been a hotbed for illegal activity. It looks like he could be... You think he's almost waiting or sees something? Because it seems to be... Oh, there's two of them now. Okay. Oh, he's looking up in those bushes. Maybe they might have spotted some activity up there. Maybe by us coming through there, we might have scared some people out of there. Who knows? But this has become a hotbed for not only, of course, illegal crossings, but it's been a hotbed for drugs and the influx of marijuana into this country. And they tell us this is the #1 port right here for marijuana, and such a destructive pathway in our chain of our drug addiction country that we have. Just a bad thing coming through these borders. And of course, I would imagine how many pounds they seize every year. I don't have that stat. Maybe you do.
The numbers are being blown out of the water, and I wish that was just a figure of speech, but that's the reality of it right now. One of the things, if you're watching in, a nowhere town, if you will, middle of Iowa, or one of those places that you're not right here along the border, and you're wondering, how can I help? What can I do? Well, you hit the nail on the head. This is a drug hotspot. The drugs are coming right through here to go to places like Iowa or Maryland or North Dakota or things like that.
City near you.
A city near you. Don't worry, this is coming right to your doorstep. And the best way to combat this is to reach out and be involved. Get involved with the drug-free groups and things along those lines. If you see see something, say something. That does not just apply to the border. You see kids selling drugs on your street corner, call the cops, nip it in the bud, because it's usually the small towns and, you know, little communities where the drug problems are the highest because nobody's saying anything.
Yeah. And they're just scared. They're scared to get involved. We've all seen the videos of someone on a subway or someone on the street getting attacked by a crazy person, and then everybody just wants to get their phone up and to video all of this. And it makes me sick to think that people sit back and complain in this country how violent things are and how radical things are, but they don't want to get involved and fight it. They just want to sit back and armchair quarterback everything and bitch about everything instead of getting out and fighting for it. And so that's why we're here. We want to show you what's going on. We want you to get involved. We want you to get inspired to make change in your community, because we can only do so much at a national level in DC, and at a state level, it goes to your hometown. And do what you did. Get involved in politics. Get in your school board. Get on your city council. Become the dog catcher, for crying out loud. Become the most uncorrupt dog catcher in the history of dog catchers. Do something. Make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, get involved with your local parties. Become a precinct chair. The best way to fight this is to stand up and say something. And, you hear it all the time about a startup business. I saw a problem, so I just wanted to, create a new product. You see a problem. We're showing you that there's a real problem. These are the ways that you can fight it. Get rid of the rhinos. Get rid of the politicians that have been there for 900 years, and get people in there that actually care about our country.
I wish I could read the chats right now on our social media, and I can't read them. It's too dark, and I'm too distracted to do that. But I would imagine many of you right now are reading these comments, and they're listening to the words coming out of our mouths, and they're going, amen. It is time to get rid of the rhinos. That's exactly what Donald Trump did back in 2016. He got rid of he kicked over the apple cart of politics and got involved and did things the right way instead of going with the status quo. And that's exactly which I hope many of you right now get inspired to do something in your local community. And we, just make a difference. Share this broadcast, by the way, because someone may need to hear those words. That makes me very nervous. Let's show what Alex and her dad are doing right now. And there's a reason why I'm not standing right there, because it is just as scary as it looks on your screen right now. But that's Alexandra Lanes and her father, who's traveled down with us. We're going to learn more about his story tomorrow. He is an immigrant. He immigrated here from another country. He escaped socialism. He escaped a threat of communism. So he's going to share his story and why he's here personally. I mean, why is he here with his daughter, overlooking the Rio Grande River, looking into Mexico, looking about immigration? This is very personal to them, and they want to make a difference as well. So we're going to hear his story tomorrow, and Alexandra is going to share it with him. It's a very special interview between father-daughter, and I don't want you guys to miss that as well. That's why they're here, to share the story. And we all think immigration is great. We all came from a different, we did my ancestry.com. I came straight from England back in the 1700s. So I know that. And so many of you know your heritage. So we're not by any means putting down immigration. It is an embrace. That's how we built this country, is on immigrants and the love of country. And we love immigration. Yes. We just got to keep the bad guys from coming over.
That's exactly it. And we have a system in process for a reason. Is there flaws? Is it broken? Absolutely. But it doesn't matter what we do on this side to fix the immigration problem. It's not going to stop anything until we take care of the cartels on the other side. They think that they rule what's going on in the United States, and our paid off politicians are allowing them to think just that. That's exactly why we have the crisis that we're having right now. That's exactly why children are being sold into sex slavery. That's exactly why human trafficking is at an all-time worldwide high, and it's coming right through this border.
Yeah, it's coming right through here. Give you another look. I mean, what's that?
The group of men that we saw earlier is still hiding in the bushes over there.
Okay.
Just watching.
Okay, so they're underneath the bridge there, kind of, with the bushes that's on this side. The bushes that are on this side of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that are on this side.
So, and then earlier there's a raft that's under a little lighter shade tree. I know that light might be difficult to tear that to be able to distinguish that, but there's a raft there. Don't know if that was laid there on purpose for these guys to walk up and get on. I don't know. Maybe that's the story.
It could be. It could be casually placed. I'm sure, you might casually find a raft like that under a tree anywhere, especially in a high trafficked area. So that doesn't look suspicious.
Okay. And he just literally the guy that inflated it, and we watched him
literally walked up with nothing, and we left with that. He's no longer there, so maybe that was his job, was to lay that there for someone to get on. And I think also what's the scary thing is, I mean, as you kind of look at these rooftops that are right across from us, who's to say that they're not watching us right now on our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel,
or in general, looking out the window and just watching us with binoculars, or through a scope. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And of course, we're here. We got here earlier. There was a lot more activity along the river. Some families with, goats and calves and, small farm animals. There's a horse over there as well. You have that. You don't necessarily see that right now, right here. But
well, and the reality is that for the people that actually live over there, they don't like it either. In my section of this part of the border, we talk to people, that live in Nuevo Laredo and things along those lines, and they were so excited by what President Trump was doing and about, how he was doing the different policies and everything. And he was deterring people from coming, and people were listening. Yes, we did have some caravans coming through, but it's not like what we're seeing right now by any stretch of the imagination. And so when we were having the big Trump trains and stuff like that here in Laredo and McAllen, things like that, in Laredo specifically, there was blimps that were flying over top saying Mexicans for Trump. They loved the policies that Trump was doing because they were benefiting directly. They were seeing the people slow down and coming over illegally. They were seeing the trade benefits from when Trump put the tariffs on China. All of that money was now being redirected through Mexico. So there was a lot of the America First policies that Trump was implementing that was benefiting Mexico.
Okay, we had a conversation earlier at lunch, and I don't want to name names here at all, but we talked about certain groups endorsing Trump and certain groups supported his run for president. How strong is the Latino vote here in these counties, and have you seen it increase over the last couple of years?
Definitely, yes. We lost, we almost turned red by 5%. That's what we lost. That was lost.
So it's got to be up from where it was 10, 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
why do you think they
significantly since 2016?
Okay, so why do you think that is? I mean, obviously the control of the border, and you keep an eye out if you see anything. We'll look this way. Why do you think that is? Is it just
we're scared?
We want security. We want our future generations to continue in a safe environment. This is not producing a safe environment right now, and it's scary.
Yeah.
Very scary.
And so families want it, border agents want it, law enforcement wants it, and which is interesting because I don't want to get too much into election nuts and bolts, but this part of the country that you would not think would endorse Donald Trump endorses Donald Trump. And when you go up to what is it like in San Antonio area, in Bexar County?
Bexar County saw a huge influx. They had a big turnover rate as well, but nothing like it was along the border.
Yeah, nothing like around the border. And of course, you go to Houston area, very blue. The Dallas area where I reside is very blue as well. Of course, I live north of Dallas in a very conservative county, so we're all red. But most of Texas is red. And when I hear people, and I'll say real quickly, when I see people talk about will Texas, two of them are walking away. When I hear questions like, will Texas go blue? Is it purple? I look back and go, I don't know what information source you're getting that from. No, it will not go backwards. Texas is very red in general.
I pray that that's the case. As long as patriots keep fighting, I think that we'll be okay. But if we let down our guard, they're going to slip right in. That's what they did in Virginia, for example. Virginia is a very conservative state, just like Texas is. But they overtook those few really populous areas like Dallas and Houston and things along those lines. They did the same thing in Virginia, and it flipped all of the conservative strongholds because the big cities is where you get your electoral college numbers from, unfortunately.
Which, by the way, Texas gained a couple. Let's talk about that.
That's right. We did gain a few more seats, so we'll see what happens, see how the lines are redrawn. Of course, that'll change the election cycle just a little bit for us in terms of when we're going to have primaries and things of those nature. But it's so important to be involved, and whether you not everyone is called to run for office, but everyone is called to make a difference. And if it's just sharing a post, if it's saying, hey, I support you by contributing financially, or telling your neighbors, setting up maybe meet and greets and stuff for candidates in your area. It doesn't matter, like you said, if it's the dog catcher all the way up to a congressional race, or whatever it is, be involved, because the people who you are supposed to be electing are supposed to be representing you. And if you can't communicate with them, then how are they representing you?
Okay, we're looking at it right now. I'm going to check with my camera guy. How's our light looking? We got the filter bumped up. And you let us know when it becomes unwatchable, because I'm not really looking too much through there. That's a lot better. We do want to make sure we provide you as much coverage as we can at night. Obviously, we're going to lose a little bit of daylight here, and then we've got to go because it gets pitch dark here. What's your thoughts right now as you were watching? We had some gentlemen walking. And by the way, where are all the women? It seems to be majority of young men crossing over here. Why do you think that is?
They're a little bit more agile.
Okay.
The conditions can be a little bit rough. As you see, it is a hike to come up here. That's not to say that women don't. I've come through here and seen feminine products and even young children's things right here on this very bluff before. So it is a little bit of a treacherous thing. The water can get a little bit deep through here. So it's definitely easier for young men who are in shape. These gentlemen that are across the river, they look like they're my son's age.
Yeah.
Well, 16, 17, 18 years old. That's prime picking, sadly, for Cartel.
Yeah. And look at the wind has sat down a little bit. It's not as windy as it was, which means it eliminates the chop on the water a little bit. There is a gentle stream that's flowing, I guess, from south, going southbound a little bit, but that's the reality we're at. What's going through your head? Because I know you were watching those guys over there, and I know that you're just trying to take all of this in.
No, I just feel like I have to be on alert all the time. I feel like I'm being watched, so I have to watch back.
To watch back.
I'm just kind of seeing if there's any movement. I know we had the group of guys over there, and no one knows what they're doing. They could be just scoping out the area for, crossings later in the evening. They could just be watching us. Who's to tell what their motives are?
Yeah, well, when we end this broadcast for light purposes, I will probably stay out here for a little bit to see what we see. There's no doubt, but I don't want to broadcast garbage content that's not that you can't see. I'm not in that business. So, but we will post up anything that we see after this broadcast. You can bet your dollar on that. Tomorrow we are going out at 7 a.m. with a border agent to go to a section of the wall, which is really I'm looking forward to it. We saw another section the other day. This is a different section that I have not seen yet. You have not seen yet. We'll bring that to you as well. That will be a taped segment that we'll push out later in the day. And then tomorrow at 11:30, Attorney General Ken Paxton will join about 4 other sheriffs, local sheriffs here. And they'll all talk about what it's like to patrol all of this. I know the last press conference I was at, we had landowners, business owners weigh in on this. And if you're a rancher and a farmer and you've got to really deal with people going across your land and breaking into your supply room and your house when you're not there, that's a problem. So they're going to talk about all of that. And of course, what is the solution to this? We don't know. It's a very complicated situation, obviously. Needs to be an immigration reform that makes it a little easier, I think, for the right people to come across and harder for the most difficult people to come across. I think that's what we want, right? I mean, at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the landowners and the ranch owners and things along those lines. Nobody really talks about their stories. Nobody talks about, the fact that they find bodies, unfortunately, that didn't make it through their land, or who got lost and whatever, or, the destruction. I spoke to a ranch manager that lives in Zapata County the other day, and he was talking about how just thousands upon thousands of acres and damaged fences and dollars and cattle and everything else, that they're not just traveling through these lands, they're destroying these ranchers' property. And you think, oh, well, they're a rancher, they've got lots of money. That's not the case at all.
Yeah, and they got equipment that's being destroyed, vandalized, and things like that. There was a local restaurant that was across from the piece of the border that was gone on the weekends. They tell me that it's be 100 people there, band, live music, the whole bit. But when they're closed, that's when people come across and vandalize and take stuff, and so that's the flip side of all of this that we see. As you can see, sun's starting to go down. We got some lights across the bridge there. That is Mexico. That's just strange question here, and this may be one of the dumbest questions I could ask tonight. Does everyone have electricity over there? Am I just seeing lights? Am I seeing lights that's powered by the city, or is there actual?
They do have lights.
Okay. Because I know there's portions that are very, very poor, and that's what I wonder.
Some of them might not have, like on this side of the west side right here. They might just be under construction right now.
It's a very different scene that we're looking at right now. Anyway, as the sun comes down here and we go to darkness, it's 8:12 here in Texas. We'll start to wrap things up. As I said before, we appreciate your time. We are working on several different applications so you can get our content, so we're not so at the mercy of big tech. We are going to Apple Plus. We are going to Roku. We have our own app. You can go to the Apple or your Android store, put in RSBN. You can see that app. We'll let you know exactly when the time is to push go and all of that, but you can start to download those apps to have an alternative way to see our content as we continually get suppressed by big tech, and we're on their target. Here's the deal. When you make people mad, you know you're doing something right. When the target's over you, you know your message is spot on, and that's what we're dealing with right now. So go get the app, search for that. Stay tuned to all of our social media handles as we continue to roll out these new platforms. We want you to get involved and be able to watch our content. And as always, you can go to our website, rsbnetwork.com, and check out our lineup there. We got new shows that are rolling out. Bobby Eberly will have a 13-minute newscast is rolling out here soon. We've got an outdoor hunting and fishing show that we're going to roll out, which, by the way, might be pretty nice to do a hunting and fishing show up and down the river here.
Oh, absolutely. We're known for our catfish, our alligator gar down here in Zapata Lake. They're known for their bass fish. Yeah. And this is big buck country, so this is definitely a great place to do all that.
Yeah. All right, let's walk over here, Gage, for a second, and we'll wrap it up. Go ahead.
Wrap it up by the observation deck, just in case.
Let's do that. Let's go up the observation. That's a great point. Gage, let's go ahead and go to the right. We'll go up to the observation deck so we can get a little better vantage point of what's going on. But as I say, as we continue to roll out new shows, you're going to want to stay tuned to how to get these shows. And I know Alexandra Lanes is a great political commentator. I spotted her from day one. I saw her content, and you know it. I slid into your DMs, and I said, hey, this girl is talented. This girl is smart. She's got a hot take. She's a verbal sniper with a hot take of patriotism, and so she'll be contributing some content on RSB as well. So we appreciate her hanging out with us, and I can't wait to share her story with her father and his journey here and what he escaped from where he was living and why he is so grateful to live in the best country God ever put on this earth, and that is right here in the great United States of America. And so we'll have that story for you tomorrow. We'll push that out, so stay tuned to all of our social media platforms. This is an interesting building here, and we were just talking about it. We have no idea what that was originally, but
water silos, or like different silos and treatment plants and things like that.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. All right, this is the Roma Bluffs observation deck that we're going to now. You can tell, obviously, that the U.S. has put some money into the deck and maintained all of this, so it's not like we're not stepping into a sketchy deck here. We got some stability to it. There's a little information boards here that can tell you exactly what's going on here, what we're looking at.
Well, and this is, the bird capital of the world, so people come here to go bird watching and just look at the scenery. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous down here. It's really a shame that you never know what's going to happen when you get in the water, because I would love to be able to enjoy this. I'm a water lover. I would love to take my kids out here fishing, but you never know what you're going to catch, unfortunately.
Yeah, same here. Love to take my jet ski out on the water, but I don't really feel like it'd be a safe place to do any kind of water sports along the banks here.
Yeah, there's some pushes to try and do kayaking trips and things like that, and I think that in groups it's not so sketchy as if you were out here doing it by yourself, but it's still not a risk that I've been willing to take. And as soon as we can secure this border, as soon as we can take care of the cartel problem that's just right here, imagine how much tourism and how much beauty and excitement and enjoyment Americans and Mexicans alike can enjoy our river on both sides of it.
All right, as we get ready to wrap here, Alexandra, closing thoughts on what we've seen today and just kind of what's going through your head right now, and to preview what we can look at tomorrow.
Basically just the same thing that I have been saying, that it's just a completely different perspective going from your living room and watching the news to actually being here in person and seeing the border and looking into Mexico and seeing the scouters and seeing where people do come across and the remnants that they leave behind. And it's just an important perspective that I'm glad we're able to showcase.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, tomorrow we'll be live at 8:30. 8:30. We ain't live at 8:30. We're live at 11:30 tomorrow for the Ken Paxton press conference. But we are going out tomorrow to the border to tour it at very early in the morning. So don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms, as we'll be posting up on that. You can follow me as well at Brian Glenn TV, and follow you as well.
Yeah, at Living Life Like Alex.
Because we're going to be documenting all of this on all of our social media platforms so we can get the word out. All right, I'll leave you. Beautiful view of the Rio Grande River right here in beautiful Roma, Texas. Until next time, goodbye and God bless.